towards the end of every election in Australia, what ends up happening is that those crossbench seats, the seats where it isn't the coalition versus the Labor Party, where it could be the Liberals versus an independent or the Labor Party versus the Greens, those seats, once they've been finalised and called, will push out a two-party preferred number for if the seat was coalition versus Labor. And as these final numbers have been coming out of these crossbench seats, and we're actually seeing what the numbers look like there in terms of coalition versus Labor support, some of the results almost don't seem real, and I'm struggling to comprehend them. Now, I've gone on enough about the two-party preferred vote in Australia in this election. Just quick reminder, at the moment, it is currently 55.31 to the Labor Party, best result of any party since the 1975 constitutional crisis, and the best result for Labor since World War II. I'm never going to let anybody forget that. But to produce this number, of course, the Australian Electoral Commission needs to do a two-party preferred count in seats where it wasn't a Labor versus coalition contest. And that takes a while, and that is where we are now. And like all good Australian political nerds, I was reading Anthony Green's blog on the subject, and he pointed out 3 key seats where this count is taking place now, where the results are unbelievable. So what we're essentially getting out of these seats at this point is a hypothetical election. If there were no candidates other than the coalition and the Labor Party, how would these seats have voted based on their preferences? And the 3 that I'm going to look at in this video specifically are Mayo, Wentworth, and Warringah. So let's start with Mayo in South Australia. This seat was created in 1984 and was traditionally a part of the Liberal heartland. Alexander Downer, a former leader of the Liberal Party and leader of the opposition, held the seat from its inception up until 2008. And it was then held by a couple of Liberals, but in 2016, of course, Rebekha Sharkey, running under the Nick Xenophon group at the time, now the Centre Alliance, took the seat in quite a surprise and has held it ever since. And Rebekha is an incredibly popular local member. She is winning there with 60% of the vote easily. But what's fascinating about it this time around is that the Liberal vote is so terrible that the Libs aren't even making the final 2 here. The official 2-candidate preferred vote in this seat is now between Rebekha Sharkey and the Labor candidate. And it somehow is only getting worse from there for the Liberal Party. Because remember, before Rebekha Sharkey came along, this seat was somewhere where the Liberal Party was winning, was beating the Labor Party 60-40 in the two-party preferred vote. By no means a competitive seat at all. Labor had no prospects here. But as a Labor versus Liberal count has started coming out from Mayo, well, not only is the Labor Party winning the two-party preferred count in this seat, they are winning it by 10 points. If you were to compare the current results coming out of Mayo on a two-party preferred basis to the last time it was actually a Liberal versus Labor contest back in 2013, that represents, in 12 years, a 17.5% swing from the Liberals to the Labor Party. But anyway, over to Wentworth. And this is Malcolm Turnbull's old seat. This is the seat currently held by the Teal Independent, Allegra Spender. And Malcolm, back in the day, when he was running against Labor in this seat, he would very easily get upwards of 65, almost up to 70% of the two-party preferred vote running against Labor. This is one of the most affluent areas in Australia. And quite shockingly, for the first time in the seat's history since Federation in the two-party preferred vote in 2025, Wentworth has voted for the Labor Party. This is a seat where the Labor Party during the Turnbull years would be celebrating if they managed to get 40% of the vote. But in the modern political climate in 2025, they are now, however narrowly, actually beating the Liberal Party on a head-to-head basis. Okay, now we're on to Warringah, and this is the part that really is making me question it all. So Warringah is a wonderful place to visit. It incorporates Manly, chunks of Sydney's North Shore. Great place to visit. if you're going to Sydney for a day. Wonderful beaches. But it is rich. Really rich. I mean, this is the kind of place where if you ask people what their income is, they say, I don't know, ask my butler. That is the type of rich that Warringah is. This was Tony Abbott's old seat, which is now held by Zali Steggall, the Teal Independent, once again. And traditionally, Labor never came anywhere near touching this seat. But as 2025 has shown, historical norms are going out the window. It's a seat where Tony Abbott would be upset if he wasn't getting at least 60% of the vote in any election. A seat where the Labor Party, back in 2016, didn't even make the final two. This was a Liberal versus Green seat. That is how little support the Labor Party had in Warringah back when it was a traditional Liberal versus Labor, or hell, towards the end, Liberal versus Green seat. But you know what's coming at this point. Not only did the Labor Party, for the first time in its history, win the two-party preferred vote within Warringah, the Labor Party won the two-party preferred vote by 9 points. All three of these seats were at some point held by a leader of the Liberal Party. Alexander Downer held Mayo, Wentworth was held by Malcolm Turnbull, and Warringah was held by Tony Abbott. The Liberal Party currently holds none of them. And at least on a two-party preferred basis, all three of them, if it were to go to a Liberal versus Labor contest again, would hypothetically, based on the numbers, all be Labor seats. Now, look, of course, you have to put the independents, Centre Alliance candidates into consideration here. They have an effect on how people vote. Of course, because if you know that a like-minded independent is going to win, you might just put the Liberals last. And that probably plays a serious role here. But it does speak volumes to how toxic the Liberal brand is currently among its traditional rich base within Sydney and its traditional outer suburban base within South Australia, that currently all three of these places, the voters are very vocally and literally voting and saying Labor is preferential to whatever the hell the Liberal Party is currently doing now. Okay, here's just a little bonus bit at the end. This isn't related to politics. This is more just of a broader thank you. It's now been a month that I have specifically just been covering Australian politics on this channel, and it has been an unbelievable period of growth for the Sloan Zone, if you can get past that daggy name. I've tried quite a few things with this channel. Originally, I wanted to cover history topics, long form. That didn't really work out. I started covering American politics. That really got things moving. But then over this last month, I've started covering Australian politics, and the response has been unbelievable. And I really can't thank you guys enough. This has by far been my best month on record on YouTube. 250,000 of you tuned in over the past month to watch me talk about Australian politics, and that genuinely means a lot. I have always loved Australian politics. I've tried actively getting involved in it. I wasn't too good at that. But I've always loved watching, learning, and most importantly, talking about Australian politics. And it seems that I might have found my niche here. And YouTube genuinely rewards creators from that. At least that's what I understand. That's what I'm experiencing here at the moment, is that there are enough people talking about history. There are enough people talking about American politics. But this little bit that I've cut out here, and the 23,000 of you that are subscribed, this niche of Australian politics really seems to be where my channel has found success. Look, Australian politics probably isn't the sort of topic that you can make a video about every single day. The election has been incredible because it's been so dramatic and so over the top that there's been endless things to talk about. So unless the coalition gets even more insane, which I don't say it might, but unless things really go off the rails, I might slow down a bit now that we've really come to the end of this election period. But Australian politics will be the focus of things going ahead. And I want to thank you guys for showing me that I can actually make something out of this. So thank you for all the support that you guys have given me in this new Australian politics era. of the channel. Hopefully that will extend for a long time, and I will see you guys next time.